Look at Venezuela. Look at Africa. China's pretending they don't have a problem. In my opinion, right now, they are stockpiling food for the future. And I don't think that we should participate in, once again, rescuing the Communist Chinese Party from their own problems, from their own errors, just like Nixon did 50 years ago. And these people are basically catcalling the president. In the Global Times today, and I apologize for going on so far, Taiwan News is talking about potential meeting with U.S. Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross and Keith Kroc, the Undersecretary of State for Economic and Growth. And so China is very, very upset about this. And China came out with an editorial in the Global Times. This is as if Chairman Xi wrote it himself. And he said, it says, American officials planning to visit Taiwan should think twice. Oh, also, I've got to give one thing. They said that the Taiwanese people should never trust the Americans. Have they forgotten the history of 50 years ago, specifically referencing Nixon, Kissinger's kowtowing to the CCP? This is what they say. American officials planning to visit Taiwan should think twice. You should understand the weight of the Taiwan question in the hearts of the Chinese people. For Americans who dare to provoke China on the Taiwan question, the Chinese people will remember you for a lifetime. Do not come to China anymore. You are not welcome here. You and your affiliated companies will have to stop doing business with China and face sanctions. You will face consequences. This is a threat from the mouthpiece of the Communist Party of China toward American business, toward Wilbur Ross, toward our relationship with Taiwan. And I got to tell you, American people, every one of you should be angered. Everybody should be posting a Taiwan flag on their Twitter page. Call their bluff. I can't visit there? Well, guess what? Maybe we don't send the corn barges over to visit. Excuse me.
Look, obviously, you got to be very careful about when you're dealing with food, particularly in famine situations. But I think your point's well taken, is the Chinese Communist Party understands the heat's on now. Even they're forcing Joe Biden to actually respond to this. Joe Biden, who's, friendship with Xi, he brags about all the time until he gets into campaign stops up in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. This couldn't get more serious. I think as this campaign heats up, China and the CCP are going to get to be a central issue, particularly about economic nationalism, where the jobs went. And I want to make sure our audience understands. Now you're seeing all the globalists are all going to pretend like they're nationalists, they're economic nationalists over the next 60 days. What I'd like to do is ask ABN and Vish if we can tee up the Richard Haas. Let's go right to Morning Joe. If you want to see what the globalists think, you want to see the conventional wisdom in the swamp, or the conventional wisdom of the permanent political class, every morning you should watch Morning Joe, because that's where you got it. Richard Haas, obviously, talked about it a lot. Let's hear Richard Haas on Morning Joe.
This will be the defining relationship of this era, just like the U.S.-Soviet relationship was the defining relationship for 4 decades of the Cold War. The challenge for the U.S. and for China is going to be, how do we structure the competition in ways that don't spill over into direct conflict over Taiwan or over the South China Sea? How do we structure the inevitable competition so it doesn't preclude or rule out cooperation, say, on climate change, or on dealing with the North Korean nuclear challenge, or in dealing with stability in Afghanistan? So we're looking at a relationship that's going to have multiple personalities. And this is going to place tremendous, real premium on the quality of foreign policy, on the quality of statecraft, because it's not going to be one-dimensional. It's not going to be one-directional. We're going to have to find a way to cooperate on Tuesdays and Thursdays, yet compete the rest of the time. And we're going to have real disagreements, but can we still limit the disagreement? So again, like it worked out with the Soviets, it doesn't spill over into direct conflict. And can we shape our relationship overall so we can still cooperate, say, on global public health? It serves our interest to do that, even if we disagree fundamentally on the South China Sea. That will be the challenge, and how well that challenge is met will probably, as much of anything, determine the character of the next 50 years of this era of history.
That right there is what Ronald Reagan stood up to when he became president of the United States. He's against the Soviets. That's nothing but mumbo jumbo. Right there with Richard Haas. You follow that, that's the road to perdition. This is his typical party at Davos, permanent political class. The reason we're in the situation we are today with the CCP virus here in China, the senior cadre of the Communist Party lying about everything, right? You can't even go now to Taiwan on a business trip. Our Secretary of Commerce and one of the undersecretaries of state for economic development can't even go to Taiwan for a meeting, or they're saying they're going to shut down. They're dictating to the United States what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. You follow Richard Haas, and you're just going to get more of the disastrous foreign policy we've gotten in the first half of this, or the first 20 years of this century already, right? Absolute defeatism, unending wars. I mean, this is what President Trump's fighting. Richard Haas is kind of the voice of the globalists. And you heard right there the mumbo jumbo. How about this, Richard Haas? We win, they lose. You need to confront the Chinese Communist Party. They're the enemy of the Chinese people. They're an illegitimate regime. They are the enemies of the United States. You know, Milesguo says, hey, CCP lied, Americans died. What about this? How about genocide? They've already killed 180,000 of your fellow countrymen. And according to reports, it could be 400,000 by the end of the year. So it's absolutely incredibly outrageous. I know we got a minute left. Raheem, I'll let you take it a break. Hashtag Warroom Pandemic. We've got a packed show today. We're going to talk about election security and the plot against the president to steal his victory on November 3rd. We're going to get deep into that. We've got more about China later. We got about the famines, the vaccines, pandemic, everything today. A packed show. Darren Beatty's going to be next. Back to you, Raheem.
Thanks, Steve. And, you know, I think it bodes saying that while the president was really robust on China last night and the rallies and yesterday all day and has been ramping up, I don't think we've quite seen anything yet. I think if the Biden camp thinks that this is about as rough as the attacks are going to get, they've got another thing coming. You're going to see from the Trump campaign a real ratcheting up, I think, on the China stuff. We'll be here for it. We'll be covering it. We'll be bringing you the best clips here on America's Voice and hashtag War Room Pandemic. John Fredericks and beyond. We'll be back after a second.